Today's show is sponsored by the ABV Barrel Shop. The ABV Barrel Shop is located in the St. Louis metro community of Arnold, Missouri. The ABV Barrel Shop is focused on one thing, single barrels. Best of all, you can try before you buy. Head over to abvbarrelshop.com to sign up for their email and text distribution so you know what they have in stock, what classes are coming up, and who from the industry may be coming in to visit. The ABV Barrel Shop. It's where single barrels live. We are also sponsored by the Bar to Go. The Bar to Go offers traveling minibars that are no bigger than a small purse or toiletry bag. Best of all, they are fully customizable so you can create the perfect piece that is unique for you. If you own your own business, what a fun and unique way to promote what you do. Check them out online at thebartogo.com. That is the number 2 in the Bar to Go. If you have wholesale questions, call my friend Isabel Clark at 504-481-1297. Finally, we are sponsored by the Neely Family Distillery. NFD is a family-owned business that keeps ringing up awards in the spirits world. Head to Sparta, Kentucky to experience the family history, award-winning spirits, and meet the Neely family. Check them out online at neelyfamilydistillery.com. Now, on to the show.
Let's drink! Welcome to the Bourbon Daily, the podcast about everything bourbon delivered to you every day of the week. Today on the show, we discuss a new single malt whiskey from China. My name is McNew. Please join me in welcoming my co-host, Steve Igley, along with our special guests, Wes Hardin, Tim Swaya, and Katie Joyce.
Hey, gang, what's up?
Hey, hello.
Hello.
So, yes, we've got a Chinese single malt whiskey that is coming to America. This one is aged in bourbon barrels, so that may grab our attention a little bit. And, of course, China... them getting in the whiskey game is a big deal, I guess. You're talking about a lot of people that and a lot of resources. So we'll see. They may be coming for us, bourbon. So we'll talk about what we think of this offering coming over to the U.S. very soon, if it's not here already. Before we get to that, though, Wes said there's something he wanted to talk about. What is that, Wes?
This is either going to be a you absolutely don't give a shit or you're probably into it topic. So let's go.
I give a shit about everything. So
all right, perfect. I know
the Kardashians.
McNew's not going to like this at all, but that's okay.
Is it moist?
So there's recently a lot of activity, especially with congressional hearings about UFOs, aliens, on and on. What are your thoughts about that?
Distraction.
Okay.
Distraction.
Yes. Distraction number one.
They're like,
number two.
Shit. Alien? Focus on alien. Look at that. Ignore all the other stupid shit.
Yeah.
What I find shocking is that nobody seems to give a shit. That
I
somebody
know,
went
right?
on testimony that they have non-human biologics, and they found it, and it's here and alive and well, and they are studying. And if you watched any of that testimony just out of news clips or anything like that, it is very entertaining how nobody gives a shit that, we always know we're not alone, but this guy came out and said it, and nobody said, I don't think I believe him at all.
Right.
Yeah, that you think this would be like the biggest thing, like bigger than Y2K, like this is the thing, like of all our lifetimes, and we're just like, meh.
Like, okay, great. Take us with you when you leave. We're done.
I just hear the sound of like the air blowing out of the balloon of like the like
I'm gonna
falls
go back
to the
doing
ground.
my TikToks. Whatever the hell that stupid song is.
Also, it's bad timing with release of the Scrolls on what's the TV show on Disney Plus? Marvel.
Oh,
Secret Invasion.
Yeah.
Secret Invasion. So I'm like, yeah, I know the Scrolls are everywhere. I just watched Secret Invasion. This is not news. Like, I was just like, this feels like just another episode of Marvel Cinematic Universe. Thank you.
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff in the news. You can go talk about aliens, but what about the volcano erupting in the Pacific Ocean that they found eggs coming out of it as well, or something like that? So anybody see Godzilla on this thing?
Also, everyone, I feel like, lost their shit over some stupid rich people going down in a sketchy ass tank to look at the Titanic.
Right.
Way more than this. Like, everyone was like huge news, lots of importance. And I feel like I've heard like two things have popped up, like on anything that like just pops up in front of me, like scrolling general social media about any of that news feed. I have to like go look for it if I want updates on
good updates. Yeah.
Like, but everything was about Titanic this and Titanic that, and with all the theories and the focus. I'm bringing all these experts and everyone talking about it. I was like, that was stupid shit. And everyone clung onto that and focused on it. And now this is actually something that, and it was like, nah.
Yeah. Well, with the Titanic thing though, it gave us really good memes. Like that was so easy to laugh at. And now
that was great,
it's like,
wasn't it?
okay, well, we have aliens, but it's kind of like we knew, so it's not as funny. Like I just think if it were funny in some way, we'd be like, meme it all day. We're gonna make memes about it. Great, the aliens are here. But mostly we're just like, we don't care. We're burnt out. Take us with you. Like
They need to work on their delivery. They need to really present this to us in a more exciting fashion.
Yeah.
It just amazes me how nobody gives a shit about that. And it's like, are they friendly? What were they here for? Have we communicated again?
Let's get one of them testifying before Congress.
Questions.
Yeah.
That's right.
I want to find out.
How do you know one of them hasn't?
Yeah. Testified before Congress? Maybe. I just want to know why they go with the rectal probe. What sort of information can you get from that? Yeah. I'm so curious.
Maybe it's like a long running alien joke.
Maybe.
Like, like look at those idiots.
Here, assume the position.
Like look at these idiots. They actually think we're getting information out of it. We just like doing it. Bunch of fuckheads. It's like their version of the like when you were a kid, you'd run up and knock on somebody's door and run off. That's their version of that.
Right, yeah.
More painful, I'm sure.
Do you think, like, if all of a sudden Elon Musk came up with a ship that could fly to other planets where there was life, that we would then start kind of creeping on them and just going there and going away? Like they say that the aliens are doing to us. Would we do that? And then if we get one from time to time, we would have to rectal probe them because that's what
we have to rectal probe them. But I think it's quid pro quo. This is where it goes. If this goes, this goes.
Yeah, because you want to have the rectal probe technology ready to go when they get the craft ready to go. So I'm going to start working on the rectal probe. So
there you go.
I'm going to begin work on that. So.
Oh my God!
Distractions.
Wes, is this where you thought this conversation was going to go?
Oh, I had a feeling it would go down that path for sure.
Well, speaking of the Titanic, you got to love the algorithms and the conspiracy theorists. Did you guys see the new one that came? I just saw it today, where the guy's credit card, one of the billionaire's credit cards, was used in Brazil, and apparently they're being caught on camera. And there's a whole scam that they're all alive. The billionaire family was in so much debt they took out life insurance before. All that stuff starts coming out, this, that, and the other, and that they're actually alive.
Oh.
Whole thing was a scam.
It's easy to disappear when you're a billionaire. But
remember back in the
credit card.
Remember back in the 80s and early 90s before all the social media came around and the big conspiracy theories was that Elvis was still alive.
Yeah.
Decided, he didn't want the limelight.
He was done
with
it.
Thing. Yeah. They say the same thing about Jim Morrison and
Tupac too. So like kicking it somewhere in South America.
Exactly.
Apparently.
Yeah. So there you go. You want one of these at some point to come true, though. I mean, it would be nice, wouldn't it? One celebrity. Also, Elvis does come out back, or somebody. Yeah.
I've always been of the opinion that I don't know what it is, but I find it hard to believe. I find it hard to believe that we go like in 10 and 20 year spans where our technology goes from very archaic to just top-notch crazy, and we give credit to supposedly these super genius smart humans that just all of a sudden there's this one guy that's so much smarter than everybody else, and he or she thinks up of this, and all of a sudden we go from landline phones, and then 5 years later we've got these big gigantic portable cell phones that cost $1 billion, and then 3 years later everybody's got a phone and you can pull up all your it's to me it's the same thing. Do we really think back in the extremely primitive days that the Egyptians built those gigantic fucking pyramids with camels and elephants and drag it just doesn't make sense to me. So to me, I feel like
the answer now.
No, I feel like we get our technology from something else, whether something's crashed and we've reverse engineered it and looked at it.
We got a couple
something.
aliens in the back there someplace, and we're shoving a USB port up their ass and downloading all the technology.
Yeah.
I think in our lifetime, we're going to be. It's going to come out that there's something. It may not be anything major. It may not be Independence Day level shit, but there's going to be something that says, yeah, there's people that have crash land here. We reverse engineered their shit, and that's how we came up with this, and this.
Yeah. Well, it's always amazing. Yeah, they do hit.
What if it's just time
backwards.
Travelers? And whereas, like, if Steve went back to like 1800s, he'd be a doctor. These people are like, oh,
I know.
I'll just invent this one thing.
Steve looks like
I'm
Doc Watson from.
I would be
Making
with no more skill than I have right now. I would be one of the top physicians in the U.S. You put me back in 1801. I'd be just like,
have some whiskey.
I got this.
Don't drink the water.
Yeah, just pour some whiskey on this.
Here's some whiskey. I'm going to cut it off.
You can cook and have a great day. That's all they had to do. Yeah.
I would be. Oh, I'd be good. Yeah.
You might die. You might not. I'm sorry. Chew on this belt. Here's some whiskey.
Right.
So it's just from someone like in the year 3000 something. They're just coming back and they're like, let's keep adding this in because I'm tired of not having a cell phone. So they just like slowly
here's the cell phone. Yeah.
Yeah.
One iPad. Here you go. Here's iPad. Yeah. On that note, it's time to drink. What is everyone drinking? I'm going to go first. I've got Rye 3, the toasted barrel finish.
Very nice.
Slide on the set. Squeaky but good. So I've got the lead.
Good's in the eye of the beholder.
Oh.
I mean, it was
You're the
louder
first
than
one.
anything I've ever heard from Tim, but yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, just ripping on me. All right. Tim, go ahead, go next. Let's see how you do.
Hey, take this here. Let's touche this son of a bitch. Hey, let's see what you got there, Swyatt. I've got a 2016 Yellowstone Limited.
He's shaking it.
Shaking it. I got my cork pop halfway done. I'm doing my Heidi thing. It's very well loved, by the way, Jeff from Iowa. Very well loved. Here we go.
That was a great table slap.
Yeah.
That's right. I felt the same way.
Yeah, there was an echo from the table slap.
I'm left eye dominated. I gotta get this fixed. I
poor
left
Kathy.
hand. I'm left eye dominated. I gotta get that going.
Being left eye dominant. Can't even edge her yard. Yeah, she had to get a note from her doctor that for her subdivision that says she can't edge her yard because she's left eye dominant. So.
And it's a real deal. It's a real thing.
It's a
struggle, Steve.
Horrible. It is horrible. I feel bad for her. All right, Wes, you're next.
I've got a little Missouri Zone Ben Holiday 6-year bottled and bond. Not the weeded, just the original. I thought this was a cork, but I found out differently. It's a screw top. So.
Screw top. Okay. 2 for 2 on the screw tops. All right, McNew, you're next.
Not last.
I'm the screw off champ.
I have Buzzard's Roost toasted American oak.
Okay.
Nothing.
Well, I've got my lead.
Squeaky.
I've managed to keep my lead. It's just between me and Katie now.
Weak like Chinese single malt.
This is going to be the Chinese single malt's going to be good. I feel it's going to be amazing. All right, what do you got there?
I have Kentucky Owl Takumi edition. I grabbed this when I thought of this episode. I realized this is not nice of me. This is with a Japanese whiskey blender. So maybe the Chinese should look at how the Japanese blended.
They should.
They've already copied and have the schematics. They already have the formula. Don't worry about that, Katie. Yeah. They got it covered.
Katie's. No, not enough. Not enough.
No bueno at all. No.
Cheers to me. 2 for 2.
Cheers to Steve, the master of the pot.
Oh yeah. All right. We'll take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to be talking about this new Chinese single malt whiskey. We'll do that in just a few. Okay, let's talk about the people that make these shows happen. First up is the Stave and Thief Society. Via their in-person class at Moonshine University in Louisville, Kentucky, the Stave and Thief Society is the place where you, a bourbon enthusiast, can expand your knowledge and emerge an executive bourbon steward. In 2017, I completed my executive bourbon steward certification. It's the most comprehensive bourbon certification available and connects you with an expansive network of bourbon enthusiasts and professionals. Check out the full listing of in-person and online certifications and join the society today by enrolling at staveandthief.com. We're also sponsored by the ABV Barrel Shop. The ABV Barrel Shop focuses exclusively on barrel picks. It's the job of owners Steve Akeley and Jim Fosnot to seek out distilleries that are making the best whiskey in the world, taste through their barrels, and select the ones that are off-profile in the best way possible. They have high standards and refuse to allow anything into their store other than something they would be proud to have their name on. This leads to some really awkward conversations with distilleries that can't make it, but they do it for you, their customers. Learn more about what is going on at their St. Louis-based store by heading over to abvbarrelshop.com. Last but not least, we are sponsored by Neely Family Distillery. Royce Neely is the 11th generation distiller in one of America's oldest distilling families. A visit to Neely Family Distillery takes you through family history, where you can see all the artifacts and newspaper clippings through the years from this family that started distilling in America after James Neely arrived from Northern Ireland in 1740. Today, Royce Neely and his team are crafting some of the best spirits in America. Their bourbon and absinthe offerings keep winning top honors in the spirits competitions. Recently, their absinthe made history as the first platinum winner in the absinthe category at the San Francisco Spirits Competition. Neely Family Distillery is definitely a bucket list destination if you are a bourbon fan. Learn more about their spirit offerings, visiting their facility, and the awards they have collected over at neelyfamilydistillery.com.
This is Kathy Poole, and you are listening to the Bourbon Daily.
Welcome back to the Bourbon Daily. Today we're talking about a Chinese single malt whiskey.
Goalong.
McNew, what's the name of it?
What do you think it is,
I
McNew?
swear to God, the comedy's going to be when you have McNew try to pronounce it.
Okay, McNew, what's the name of this?
I think it's go along, like a tag along.
I think you got it.
Like a
Goalong.
tag along.
I would rather eat a
okay.
tag along than drink that.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna need a snack now.
Goalong Chinese single malt whiskey. It is a single malt that has been aged in bourbon barrels. Now, I do like the box. I like the pot still in the box. Comes in at 80 proof though. I don't like that as much. I'm not a big fan of that. And then 700 milliliters, $60. So it's relatively affordable. But what are your thoughts as you take a look at this thing?
Nope.
No, why not?
So, oh shit, excuse me. That was not 80 proof single malt.
He vomited in his mouth there a little bit,
So
folks.
Yeah.
either there's some bad lighting in the promo picture, which is possible.
Right.
Often there's times where you take a picture of a bottle and based on the lighting, it looks really dark and it's actually night and vice versa. However, let's assume that the picture's true. And so it's extremely light. And looking at it, I would have never guessed it was aged in any kind of barrel, much less a charred bourbon barrel.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying that like it wasn't in there long.
It's young.
It's
There's no age
weak
statement.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess they say
80
5 years
That
old.
that's not a flattering picture.
No, that's a terrible
No.
picture. 80 proof, no single malt whiskey. So to me, I'm not a big single malt person. I haven't had any Chinese single malt, that's for sure. I will say, in a fairly close region, Taiwan, through the brand Kevlon, makes a wonderful lineup of single malt whiskeys. However, in my personal opinion, I don't like their straight single malt offering, but their wine and cask finished are unbelievably amazing.
Okay.
So I would feel better if this was closer to the 90 proof range, and maybe instead of a bourbon barrel, because just based on the picture, it doesn't look like they've extracted much of the bourbon flavor out of it. So it's either the barrel was probably not a first use barrel. They would have gotten more color off of it, I think. And so it may be a 5 times use.
We don't know the age either though.
Or it could have been in
No, it
there.
says 5 years old, Steve. It does say 5 years
It
old.
does?
Okay.
Bourbon
Five years
cast
old.
age 5 years old.
So what I can't say,
5
it
years
didn't
old.
stay in the bourbon barrel for 5 years. That's a fact. Or it would have been somewhat darker, I would think. So to me, I think it is a new offering. single malt, and maybe their target audience maybe they could give a shit less about American target audience. So American, for the most part, there's big Scotch following, but the really big growth is American whiskey, bourbon, rye, finished, unfinished, so forth and so on. So to me, if their target audience is China, India, Europe, things of that nature, who are into single malts of all type, they'll probably have a hit. It was kind of the equivalent to me of the U.S. of some NDP person or just some distillery decides for whatever reason, wants to come out and they want to start off with a very approachable proof, which we know is 80 proof. It's as approachable as we can get. And maybe that's their goal, is to appeal to young people,
emerging markets.
Emerging
That's
markets,
also the
things
entry
like that.
proof for all entry level offerings in Scotland and Ireland.
Okay, so
everything. That 80 proof is
if that's
usually the
the goal,
entry. That's like their baseline flagship, first level of offerings. Is generally going to come in at 80 proof.
Yeah, so if that's the
proof.
goal, they're probably going to knock it dead anyway, just because there's so many people in China. India has a huge market for whiskey, single malt whiskey. They have producers there as well. So if that's their goal, is just to sell, and they know their market, that's fine. If it's to infiltrate the U.S., I think they've got a pretty far uphill battle.
Yeah. Is that a strap on the box? What is that?
It looks like a strap handle on the box, Steve. I agree with you there.
You can put that on your belt. Photo. I think you can belt that.
Well, that's so you can hold on. So when you pay that $60 for that 80 proof light whiskey, you're ready for what's going to happen to you. You can hold on, so you can take it.
Well, start looking at I always look for Photoshop mistakes and everything like that, and there's a ton on this one. Well, I will give them props. First off, they spell whiskey with an E, since the country does not have a E in their name. Generally, they'll have an E in whiskey. So China, Ireland, Scotch, well, it doesn't have an E. So there you go. So they keep the E in there. But if you start looking at the bottle, there's like ribbons, 2 little ribbons at the top of the neck that come down that are underneath the white wrapper. There's also something on that right-hand side shade that's like poking underneath it, that there's nothing behind the bottle to show what would create that shadow.
So those
you have
ribbons,
the type font. What's that, Katie?
The ribbons appear on another picture on Goalong's website of a picture that looks like they took it like at their distillery. So I think it really does have like a gift bag style ribbon on the top of the box.
Gotcha. Well, look at how the bottle's in front of the box, but the whiskey is solid. It's clear all the way through, where I'd expect to see the box on the left-hand side of the bottle. And then what the hell is that thing in the back of the bottle on the lower right-hand side there? That's like, definitely it's behind the bottle, but I don't know what that is.
That's for sure.
It's a thumb. Exactly.
Yeah, I was like
something. Or a hand, or it's like a pinky or something. It doesn't match up to what's going on here. So you got to love the Photoshop editing work here. That's subpar.
I did find interesting that on Goalong's website, they have a blended malt whiskey that's bourbon barrel aged, and the color is much better.
Is it?
Yes.
Probably it's $90.
Yeah.
And it does specifically say it. They even give better notes on that one on their website. On the one we're talking about, the single malt, they give 0 notes about it, no information, no details I could find on their website, other than like they took a picture with some lemons that confirm that it really is this light of a color, because it pretty much matches the lemons that's in the picture with.
It doesn't surprise me.
They said that life needs to live with happiness and love. Such a life is worthy of our yearning. Happiness often comes from simplicity. Goalong, our whiskey distillery in China. Bring a bottle of Goalong single malt whiskey with a good friend and watch an exciting game. Let us toast to happiness. So they just talk about happiness. They give you 0 bits of actual information, but on their blended malt whiskey that has much better color of what we would expect, it tells you like a smell, taste, and finish. The taste is elegant, rich, and sweet. So it's not the greatest description, but this is there. And it does say it's 5 years aged in bourbon oak barrels on that one. Whereas it doesn't say that on the other one, and this one looks like it as well. It's actually appropriate color.
Yeah, I feel like they just Googled like some English words and threw them on their labels and descriptions. Like, why does it say fine quality? Like
ChatGPT wrote it, I bet.
Yeah, or something, because they're just like, there's like the Pappy quote where it's like always fine whiskey. They're like, yep, sounds good. We're putting.
You can start picking up this ChatGPT shit now, because it's very flowery, a lot of adjectives, a lot of. Yeah, it's just so over the top the way it writes.
It
It's
is.
I'm just thinking I should correct myself. They actually spelled whiskey wrong. China doesn't have an E in it, so it shouldn't have a E in whiskey.
Yeah, it should just be
Oh,
the Y.
I flipped it. Yeah, I flipped them. I was
Well,
thinking about it again. I'm like,
it makes it feel more American though, because you got Old
Correct.
Forester and
Correct.
Maker's Mark have no E, so it's
correct.
it makes them feel a little like us on that one.
It has the
You
look.
can have some young scotches that look like that, so I'm not too shocked on the color. But 5 years seems a little long to not have that. Have some more tint on that.
Yeah, what you do
Barrel-aged.
see comparable in American whiskey is American light whiskey that's not aged for like
Yeah.
10 or 12 or 15 years. Anything under like 7 or 8 years in the American light whiskey realm has a much lighter color than obviously a new chard.
Like a lemongrass
barrel.
or
So that's
look-
kind of what it looks like
No.
to me.
I would say the color reminds me of like the color of Bren, which
Yes.
is 8. And so that would match with another single malt as well.
Correct.
And so I do maybe believe them that it really was aged, but it has that,
Springbank, any of the Campbelltown whiskeys tend to be a little lighter.
because it looks like almost the same color, not even though the Bren 10-year is much darker, but the Bren Estate cask, it's almost that same color, but it's not with cognac, so it's not gonna have that flavor. I want nothing to do with this bottle.
Yeah.
No, you're getting 50 milliliters less as well.
Except-
They're bottling in a 700, which they do all in European, in Europe and everything 700 milliliter. And then 700 milliliters now approved for here now, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yep. So we may start seeing that too, getting 50 milliliters
You're
less.
starting to see some of that, and they're always like, "Well, it's just going to in the international trade." Well, there's always been things sent
Yes.
globally, but they've always kept it 750 in the U.S. But yeah, well, it's a great way to save some money. And by the way, the prices will not go down, folks. I mean, we got the cost of that new bottle and whatnot. We got to recover. So yeah.
But they'll be like, but it didn't go up as much as it would have.
Right. Yeah. So you win, folks. So you always
We'll
got to
see
tell
what
people they
happens
win.
when we stop buying the product. We'll see what they do with their pricing.
From what I understand, the 700 milliliter bottles in the U.S. are not exclusively, but predominantly, at least initially, targeted for airports because they get all the travelers, and a lot of travelers are used to 700
Correct.
milliliters, so they don't mind throwing some shekels down for it because they're used to it. And from what I understand, a lot of the companies are going to use that as a test market to find out if they get a lot of, what are their sales before and after with the switch and all that stuff. But I know there's a lot of 700 milliliter bottles of like or 12, and there's some 700 milliliter bottles of other, mainly Sazerac for the most part. They're starting to hit shelves at some of the big airports and the duty free and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
On that note, we'll wrap this one up as we always do by talking about where people can find us. Katie, we'll start with you. Where can people find you?
You can find me over on Instagram at Katie Proof.
Tim.
You can find me on Instagram or X, I believe now, at SwyGuy2112.
Wes.
You can find me on Instagram at bourbon_Wes.
McNew.
Also on Instagram at McNew ABV.
For me, I'm an easy guy to find. I'm at Steve Akeley on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. I've got a website, steveakeley.com. We've also got that company website. That thing's abvnetwork.com. That's the one you got to check out. Everything that we do is out there. Also, if you're in St. Louis, come by and see us, the ABV Barrel Shop. We've got lots of barrel picks for you to try. If you like one, you can pick it up. We also do educational classes, bring in distillers, so much more. So check us out online, abvbarrelshop.com. McNew, anything else to say before we get out of here?
I would like to remind the audience to please give us a 5-star review that includes comments. It helps new people find the show, which is very important to us. And if you like what we're doing, we ask that you please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/the ABV Network.
Great job today, gang. Farnitz, we'll have a brand new show for you tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Until then, take care, everybody. See ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Goodbye in Chinese.
Peace. Before we finish the show, let's talk about some of the great companies that support the ABV network. First up is Moonshine Still Pro. Moonshine Still Pro is owned and operated by Russell Creed, who makes stills for the hobby distiller. He offers a one-stop shop for everything the at-home distiller needs. Whether it's a small, experimental stovetop still or something bigger you run outside, he has the still or parts you would have difficulty fabricating yourself if you were trying to build a DIY still project. Additionally, he has resources to assist in creating unique distilled spirits, including heirloom grains, barrels for aging, and recipes. Check out Russell's company online at moonshinestillpro.com. Finally, I have a question for you. Have you ever boxed a bear? Of course not. That'd be silly. Bears really don't follow the rules, so shots in the back of the head, punches to the nuts, and scrums after the bell would be the norm. A better idea would be to enjoy Boxing Bear Whiskey, a brand crafted by Nobleton's Distilling House in Union, Missouri, and sold exclusively at the ABV Barrel Shop in suburban St. Louis. This is a popular offering that sells out quickly, but when you are in town, stop by the ABV Barrel Shop and see if they have it in stock. Better yet, sign up for their email and text distribution over at abvbarrelshop.com and you'll know exactly when it is in stock. This is Steve Akeley, owner of the ABV Network, signing off. We thank you for listening to our programming and truly appreciate your support.
The Bourbon Daily is part of the ABV Network. For more information or to become a sponsor, please visit abvnetwork.com. Thanks for listening and cheers.
This has been a Steve Akeley production.